Hi, this is Mitchell Elf, Birdsongs, and this is Center 2 Clock Chorus. The goal or the objective of this center is to get kids to understand that each species of bird has its own song and it has a special time to sing. And so when you start this center out, you can either choose to just have an open discussion about the times during the day which a bird usually sings and how their song activity works as a cycle, as a daily cycle, and that's why it fits in with our theme for the year, cycles. Most birds sing early in the morning, and that their song starts depending on how much light there is, and then they're usually quiet by around 11, and then they start singing again at 3 and sing until sunset. But for this center, we're just going to talk about the morning cycle. So some interesting ways that you could choose to talk about the individual songs and the cycle are these two books, Bird Talk, which illustrates the songs that the birds sing in our words, kind of how it sounds, and then Marsh Morning, which is a story that leads you through the cycle of a day and when different birds start singing, and it's a pretty good story. So those are a couple choices. You could also save those for the end as a wrap-up of your center too. So then you're going to move into the activity, and in a large Ziploc bag you will find these bird cards, and you'll find a key, chorus timeline, clock chorus timeline key, and then in a separate envelope you will find the originals for kids to fill out their own timeline or for you to fill one out as a group. I recommend that kindergarten, first, second, and second probably do it as a group, but third and fourth grade students could fill this out each by themselves, and in the end it'll look like this with each different bird tracked for their time that they sing. But before you fill out that timeline, what you're going to want to do is show the kids the timeline and illustrate that we're going to figure out who sings when. And then you're going to hand each kid one of these cards. And each card has a picture of the bird and the name of the bird, the yellow warbler. And then on the back it tells you what song they sing. This one says, "Sweet, sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet." And they sing from 6 in the morning till 11. So the student that has this card is responsible for practicing singing "Sweet, sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet." And then when you have the clock out, you're going to pretend that you're in charge of a day in the life. And you could start at midnight and have it move forward. And then when it gets to 6, when it gets to 6, the person that's got the yellow warbler would start singing "Sweet, sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet." And they would keep singing it until the clock got all the way to 11. And the trick of this is that each bird, here's the red-winged blackbird, it sings from 5 to 10. And it has a totally different song, Conklary. And so each student will have their own card, and they'll start singing at their specific time. This one is at 7. And they keep singing, and you're in charge of the clock, and you move the clock along, signifying the passing of the day. And it should sound like a pretty neat chorus of birds. The younger kids, you'll need to hand them a card, each kid, and say, "This is the white-breasted nuthatch," and then have them look on the back and help them figure out what their bird says and what time it is. And you may have to say, as you get to 7 o'clock, say, "Okay, white-breasted nuthatch, you start." But the older kids should be able to read and figure that out and put that together and tell time on the clock. So after you've done that once, then you go and you fill out your timeline as a group and talk about how not every bird starts at the same time and not every bird ends at the same time, but there's a certain part of the day where they're all singing together. and you might talk about why that is, or if they have any thoughts or ideas about that. And then, after you've had the opportunity to talk about the overlapping singing cycles and make other observations, you can do round 2, and round 2 is a second set of 6 cards, and you can do the exact same thing again if you have time. If you don't have time, or if you have more than 6 kids, you could borrow cards from the other one and just combine the 2 rounds. And then again, to wrap up, if you haven't read one of these books, you could go over it. You could talk about some of the facts that are there on the side, like the time when birds cease singing for the season varies. Some stop as soon as mating has occurred, and others not until all care of the young is done. So there's some interesting facts included in your outline about it. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com. And happy singing.